Hello witches and wizards! Thank you for joining us as part of this year's Ironfest Virtual Festival. Today we are going to be casting a spell, an edible spell, with magical plant-based ingredients. The most magical of these ingredients is this stinging nettle. Today we are making stinging nettle soup. All parts of the stinging nettle plant are edible. Traditionally it was used in magical applications for purification, protection. It was also used in medicinal applications for things like allergies, asthma, and also arthritis and lots of other things. It's been used all over the world. The stalk parts of the nettle plant have been used also to create fibers as well. Now, it is completely safe to eat after cooking or drying. So don't try and pick leaves and eat them like this because it does have lots of little stinging needles all over it. The stinging needles will, which are made from silica, will inject into your skin a poison that contains histamine and a bunch of other chemicals that will make your skin sore and itchy. It also, interestingly, contains serotonin. There's lots of ways to prepare it and cook it. Today we're going to make a soup. It's going to be really delicious. You can also make tea by steeping the leaves in hot water and then straining them. You can also dehydrate the leaves and use them in that way. We're also going to be using sage. Sage has been used for magical purposes for a long time. It's often used to purify a space. Today, all of the herbs and ingredients that we're using do have a lot to do with purification and cleansing. So I know this time everyone is focused on cleaning up their houses and reassessing their lives and making it so that we can start new on the other side of what we're dealing with at the moment. And I think this recipe is a really good way to also cleanse our bodies. Rosemary, same thing, often used for protection and purification. Other magical items that we have here is quartz. And we're also using green candles to invoke the spirit of renewal from nature. So the ingredients you will need are some kind of mild oil, vegetable oil or light olive oil, apple cider vinegar, vegetable stock, salt, rosemary, sage, thyme and bay leaves, potatoes, onion, garlic, and stinging nettles. I heated up my oil just a little bit in this cauldron. You can use a pot if you don't have a cauldron. It's totally fine. Anything that you would normally make soup in. So I've just got my roughly chopped onion and garlic in there, heating up with the oil. At this point, as I like to do, put a little bit of salt in now. We're going to season at the end as well. What I'm going to do is also now put in my potatoes. So I've got probably, I don't know, like 5 or 6 smallish to medium-sized potatoes. And we're just going to cook that off. I'm going to put in our firmish herbs now as well, just to give it some time to break down. Like I said, we are going to blend all of this anyway, so you can be as rough as you like with the chopping, tearing. So as we're doing this, I just wanted to talk a little bit about cooking as a magical practice. Because spellcasting or manifesting our intentions, which is what spellcasting is really all about intention. So when we're cooking, if we learn to cook intuitively and to understand our ingredients, we can infuse our cooking with whatever intention we want to. So today's intention is all about that cleansing, the renewal, the protection, all of those things that these ingredients invoke. I'm putting in some sage now as well, and it smells really good. Those potatoes cooking in the oil and the sage. I'm just going to tear up a little bit of thyme as well. You can really use whatever herbs speak to you. whatever herbs you like the taste of, in other words. These ones that I've chosen for their flavor profile that work really well with these other ingredients, but also for their traditional uses. We're also going to put bay in. Like, bay's always been traditionally used for spell casting, so we're going to put that in. Now I'm going to show you how to add the nettle in this type of application. So what I like to do is take a small pair of tongs. You can use a regular size if you're agile enough with your tongs. Small pair of tongs and some scissors. Now when you're picking your nettle, you want to wear thick gloves and jeans and actually be well dressed, because those little spines will pierce through light fabric. So what I like to do is, and for this soup we're just going to use the leaves today, although you can get, it's okay to get little bits of stems in there too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the nettle and the scissors in my right hand, because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed you might want to switch them around the other way. And we're just going to snip the leaves off and little bits of those soft stems at the end into our soup. So we are going to blend this. So the reason why you don't want to get too much of the stems in is really just for a textural thing when you're eating it, because you don't want it to be too fibrous. So in this application it's really good. You could save the stems and make some tea as well. So like I said before, you can just steep it in really hot water and then strain everything out basically. If you are foraging for ingredients, whether it be mushrooms, this time of year the mushrooms are out, or herbs, greens of any kind, make sure you know what you're picking before you eat it. So if you're not sure, there's lots of groups on Facebook now for foraging and for hedge witchery. So you could join a group and ask for an ID. If you like the idea of foraging for your own ingredients, there are plenty of cool things you can find. Like even if you live in a relatively urban environment, there's still things that grow everywhere that you can eat. So if you are interested in it, do some research, but definitely 100% don't eat anything unless you know for sure what it is that you're eating. Now my dad has been cooking in a cauldron since before I can remember. Every single meal, it's not a cauldron, it's called a camp oven. However, every single meal that I remember him making as a child was always in this pot. And then he'd bring it out to the table and it'd just be like cauldron in the middle of the table. Help yourself, there it is. Everything, he made everything in this pot. So when your onions and the edges of your potatoes are all nice and caramelized and you've got that yummy golden brown on all of the edges of your ingredients, we're going to add in just a dash. I've got here probably 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. This is not completely an essential ingredient. I like this for the flavor profile at the end, but if you don't have it, or if you want to put just a squeeze of lemon or a different type of vinegar, that's totally fine. Just don't use balsamic or something like that, but any kind of light vinegar would be fine. So we're just going to put a dash in. So that's going to pull all of those flavors off the bottom of your pot. So put that in first just so we can sort of deglaze the bottom of the pot, or the cauldron if you're using a cauldron. So keep the heat up high when we're doing this part, and then we're going to add our stock. So we've just mixed this up from stock. If you are a proper witch, you'd probably be making your own stocks and infusing those with magical energy. Bring it up to the boil, and then we're going to leave it down on low and simmer it until all of the potatoes and all of the other ingredients break down. You can basically leave the pot on for as long as you like at this point. So yeah, and keep topping it up with water as well if you like. We can season at the end. We can even season after we've blended it at the end. So don't worry too much about extra seasoning at this point. There is our finished soup. You can garnish on top with a few fresh herbs if you like. A little bit of extra salt if you like, although I did just taste this and it's pretty much bang on with the seasoning. Yeah, so let's taste it. It's really yummy. Pretty magical. Yum. I hope you really enjoy that soup. Let me know how you go. And if you need any tips or tricks or any other suggestions, please get in touch and we'll help you out as much as we can.